release the perfectionism and focus more on the purity, then we unlock a new character. Welcome to the HartFelt podcast, a church without walls where we have sacred conversations about all things healing, spirituality, personal growth, and self-sovereignty. This week, I want to talk a lot about the beauty of imperfection. And when we allow ourselves to release the perfectionism and focus more on the purity, then we unlock a new character. So I have been in this space of a full-time entrepreneurship so 3 months. Dang. It feels like it's been longer, but I'm proud of myself. I'm saying, because I deserve to honor myself and all that I have come through and to, even in this moment. But it's only been 3 months and I am just starting to relax. I felt like, God, you have thrust me into this moment. Let me do something with it. Let me make sure that I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be a person who is posing, which is probably one of the reasons that I feel like I took so long to do it by myself, or to just do the thing, or push the music, or offer the services, or just push whatever, promoting myself in any format. I feel like it had to be perfect because I didn't want to undergo any more scrutiny I've experienced with my past as I'm healing through my trauma. So it took me through, I had to go through all of those things to come to this space. But as I was preparing to release everything leading up to, because now when y'all seeing me, those episodes were recorded about a month ago from now, or maybe 2 months ago, around the time I got laid off, basically. So I realize now, coming into this space, in my transition from work, I still had benefits that was coming through. So not just the type of person like, oh, I know all, and then nobody can help or support me. And if you don't ask for help, I don't want to be broken down. I'm not about to be burnt out. Shawty. I'm not about to do that, trying to live the life that I feel like is a dream that I'm called to do. It should be gracious, you know what I'm saying? So as I was doing and preparing, I had my benefits that were left. My therapist that I've been working with for the past 2 years was like, you have these coaching hours. You need to use this coach hours, and because it's a benefit, and you might as well. And I was like, why not? I could see. So I looked for somebody who was who I thought I would align with. And I'm only, to be honest, I can't learn from nobody else but a Black woman. There's nobody else who can teach me. There's nobody who's going to be able to relate to me but a Black woman. So I always look to the guidance and to the support of other Black women. That's just who I am. So I'm looking for, obviously, a sister. And as soon as I started looking in, the coach that I'm now working with was the first one. I was like, let me peruse. I don't want to just assume. Actually, her name is Miss Cheryl Bridges, so she does have her own practice. I'm going to tag her, or I'm going to mention her practice here, because she is a phenomenal coach and has helped me through this push, this thrust into entrepreneurship and into walking in embodying who I already am, but appreciating and honoring those parts of myself, of the things that I have done. So she's been great in these last few months. We only have been working together since the layoff. Every week that we worked together, it was like I was going through an intensive, quick, let's get these parts quick. You need to trust yourself. Boom. You need to be walking in your confidence if you're going to be standing in this new life. I don't want to consider myself a content creator, but if you're going to walk out as a creator, you got to live as a creator. You have to embody the creatorship that you are. Every week, it was like something that was happening that aligned with the homework that she gave me from coaching. All of the lessons and the things that were happening in my life were aligning directly with the lessons to get to this version, right? The first lesson was identifying my superpowers, but my tangible, physical, or what do I do? Who am I superpowers? And I'm very in tune with my magical superpowers. I've always been in tune with me and listening to my intuition and my ears, the hearing, the seeing. Those gifts I have always been confident in. But I guess I overlooked the logistical training. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but I was overlooking any resume builders. And I was not applying my corporate to my entrepreneurial side because for some reason it felt like they were different. And honestly, as a small business trying to partner with other small businesses, and unfortunately, not all of our people operate at a level of professionalism that is edifying of the shit you talking about. You know what I'm saying? Some of our people are not walking in the fullness of who they are. But then when someone else is, and they challenge those parts of you that are not, they get there. But that's another story. So I'm going through the first lesson, which is understanding my practical magic. Let me say that. Understanding my practical magic so that I could apply it to my magical business. So that I could apply it to that space. Because my business has been mostly experiences. Sometimes it's hard to convey. So what do I do resume wise? Event planner, curator, all the things that everybody has now given titles just feels like. But what I ultimately learned about myself is that I create community building programming. The events that I create are so that people can come together and commune as one and learn something you might not have learned today by connecting with somebody who actually looks like you. We're not all one type of nigga. Our nigga experiences cross pollinate and we not all the same. You know what I'm saying? And if we learn to value our differences within our community, then we'll be able to probably really do some powerful shit, because the skills that I have may not be the skills that you have, but what you have can bring value to, we can build together. And I am huge on the building, right? So getting these practical skills together, or coming to understand these practical skills, the first thing that happened was my sister and brother-in-law, they had a Survivor game night, right? And they went all, but they did all their own games. They came up with their own whatever, but it was Survivor themed. And when I say, first off, shout out to my sister and brother-in-law. I love them. They are literally made for each other. They are corny and they will go to the top, but it's so cute because they had a tribal council. These niggas actually had a freaking the booth where you go in to interview for anybody who watches Survivor. They did the whole thing. The games were fun. We were interacting. Shit really got real in terms of when people, while you're playing these games, and it's like your competitive nature rises up, or your strategic nature, or your community building nature. Because I don't know, I wasn't doing shit. I was just playing the games, and I happen to be good because I am good at games. I know how to play games, and I am competitive. So I'm like, I want to win. You know what I'm saying? But it just got so consuming. We were immersed in their game, so much so that we literally played that game until 4 a.m. until we got to a fucking winner. It was beautiful. And we need more stuff like that, not just inside the house, but outside of the house. So as I'm creating these experiences, I see what my sister and them built, and let's figure out how we can organize it for our community. This is my mindset. This is how I think. And let's just do some shit they're not doing right now. I'm saying, because now everybody wants to do this, that, and mimicking each other when there is still something new to experience in life. Right? There's still something new to experience. So as we're playing these games, I'm learning. I realize I'm a little bit more strategic than I thought, because I be chilling. I don't feel like what you got to strategize for, but business is strategy. Even though I'm in a space of spiritual business, I still need to be on top of my shit. And my house truthfully is ruled by Capricorn. So I need a lot more organization in this business shit than my Sagittarius nature will allow. But anyway, so that was week 1. So I want to say maybe we had about 8 sessions before, which actually recently, this week, we had our last benefit session. But I definitely want to continue working with her, and I highly recommend working with her. But anyway, so that was the first week. The second week was trusting. And this is where shit got real. I also started school. I'm currently in psychosynthesis training for certification for psychosynthesis, which is transpersonal psychology, and the synthesis of, or the synthesizing of the whole self into one. Mind, body, spirit, light and dark are in and out, literally all of us into one. And that experience started about week 2 into the trust. Trust lasted a little bit longer. And getting into trusting myself, I also was starting, opportunities started to present themselves at the same time as I'm just getting laid off. I'm still trying to get my bearings on how I want to expand or scale my business forward, because I'm now need to, for one, and I want to see how, I want to see that, I want to show myself that I can do this. I want to show myself that I can build something that is sustainable and successful and beneficial and healing and spiritual and legacy, but as me, not as anybody else, not in trying to fit into anybody else's mode. I want to show myself how good life can get and see that omnipresent God energy that flows around me, flowing within me and out me, and manifesting the things that I see. So this isn't just a process of moving from corporate into full-time entrepreneurship. It's also a process of healing the wounds that was keeping me from trusting in my business, relying too much on the wisdom of others, as if my wisdom was not enough. And while going through the trust process, God showed me other people's distrust in themselves. And then couple that with not having a vision for themselves. And it showed me, because also in that space, when you don't have a vision for yourself and you don't trust yourself, and then you're trying to step into places, or other people are stepping into your space, at least with a vision, because my vision is clear. I know exactly what my mission is, and that is to help others unlock. And as the perfectionist is showing up simultaneously in class, we are now working with our sub personalities. And as we're working through these parts of ourselves, I'm working with the perfectionist. Why does everything have to be perfect? And tying that back to the bully kid that felt like I have to be perfect in order to ... or it has to be perfect so they won't ... And always just being very self-conscious, hyper vigilant to a degree in my internal overthinking myself, overthinking what I want, overthinking how things should go or how they should be. So working through the perfectionist, through coaching, and then also having that sub personality show up in class. And at the same time, now I have checked off, I trust myself, and in more ways than one. I was in a space where my clientele just started to get, it always has been very deep, but they have been dealing with deeper things, more deep rooted issues that require a confidence and a boldness to deal with, to be very honest, and require a level of audacity to face other people's demons that sit within them. It takes a level of audacity that I did not honestly have before this 8 weeks. I would be like, I'm not about to argue with you. No, you asked me a question. I told you what I saw. You fight back. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to continue to push nobody into destiny. That's the one thing that as a Black woman, I have dealt with, I have acknowledged, and I don't have to push. I don't want to push anybody into anything. I want them to flow. I want to guide. And in guiding, I have to also lead by example with what I am and how I carry my light, or carry my energy, and embody all of myself. So as we're working through the perfectionism, I'm trying to get this podcast. I told you about the first episode, just episode 1, from getting to the recording. Even this episode tonight, this being the first time I've recorded in a month or so. And this episode, trying to record right now, my phone it's doing some of the same shit. Then the ancestors talking about, oh, you didn't open up in prayer. And I'm like, guys, I just want to get the conversation done. I will pray. We always gonna pause and pray. We're gonna get to the prayer and these different energies, because I work with the energetic realm. I work with the spirit man, the spirit body, the spiritual realm. And while recording even this episode, the challenges that have been faced. And well, some people be like, and these are small hiccups, right? This is just patience. This is just exuding and practicing patience with your goals, right? Which I did lack. I lacked a level of patience with the process, which is why in trying to achieve this ill-begotten idea of perfectionism that does not exist. So I could avoid shit that's gonna happen that I can't avoid anyways. Because if a nigga gonna hate, they gonna hate. And you don't have to give a nigga a reason to hate, to be unfortunate. So if somebody is going to choose hate, I just want to choose to operate in love and light. And I preserve that very well because I mind my business and stay out the way. Right? So as I am accepting that it's going to be what it's going to be, and it is what it is till it ain't. It allows me, I feel like I have stepped into this character over this 8-week process of getting coached. And it was very important to me to feel like, how can you be a coach if you're not coachable? And that's the main corporate. That's the biggest rule in corporate, is always be coachable. And that's always going to be, and that applies also to business. So I have always felt like I'm here. I want to learn. And it takes a certain type of coach. It takes a certain type of, even in my own community, unfortunately, it takes a certain type of boss, takes a certain type of mentor, takes a certain type of woman who is confident in her own gifts and purpose and mission that she is walking, to be okay with me still shining without wanting to dim me. I have dealt with a lot of people wanting to dim me so that they didn't feel like they were being outshined. And in this process of entering into sovereignty and full-time ministry work, I am able to acknowledge how that can be if I was on the other side. So I think that's one of the reasons I did allow myself to dim so much. But I want to be the type of light that is like, ooh, you're bright too. Very fairy, okay? I'm still very fairy. So I just want to play. I just want to have fun. And I want to enjoy life, laugh, love. And that doesn't look perfect. It doesn't always feel perfect. It's not always going to be perfect. I don't that and that was the greater lesson over it all, throughout it all. Out of anything, it was that if I am striving to be too perfect or striving for this imaginary target of perfectionism, is that also conveying to people that I'm not a human? Or is that separating me from others where my godliness, they don't feel as equally godly? Or I don't want to make anybody feel like I know what that feels like. So I never want to have anybody feel the way I felt, trying to be accepted in places that didn't appreciate me, trying to act like I wasn't good at some shit that I actually was good at, so the other person felt like they were better than. I never want anybody to feel that space, which is why my origin had to be what it was, so that I can maintain the heart and integrity that I have. That even through others' misconceptions, I can't meet that. I can't change that. And I don't want to fight it. So I'm not going to try to out perfect some shit that is truly misunderstood. And today I sit in a peace that, having just released the first episode of the podcast, was just released a few days ago as I record this. So just releasing the podcast in the state that it was in, as it was, not going back to relook, trying to retouch, not trying to go over and over and over, just getting it done and releasing the content. I realized that it's going to be received how it's going to be received. And my only responsibility with this aspect of the mission, because I have others, this is not my main calling. This is my sounding board, and this is my place of expression, because I don't think that people are talking about the weight that weighs on the atmosphere setter, the tone setter, the energy shifter, the guiding light, who is the curse breaker, here to not only transform their bloodline and lineage, but also their immediate community since from birth. I don't think that people understand the heaviness that it is to feel our community hurting, trying to figure out the remedy or the prescription to end our people's madness, and to not truly feel any other way, but I still have to for my people. When the mission is greater than how it comes out, and when the purity of your intention is greater than your desire for it to be perfect, shit truly unlocks, because you don't have an attachment to the outcome. And that's the part of manifestation that it took me a while to understand, was releasing the outcome, which took a level of trust that I had, but wasn't even acknowledging, because I had to trust God over these last 2 years, especially with my family. I had to trust God on a level that was unspeakable and inexplicable, and something that, if only you have been one to have had to stand in the gap for your family. And not to say that I was standing in the gap alone, but there was a space where God wasn't being communed with in my family, that I was not going to close the gap of communication for my family. That these past 2 years required a level of trust that I can't explain. So how dare I not trust in the power that lies within me, that was gifted and bestowed upon me? How dare I not walk in that authority? How dare I allow other people to see that light, utilize that light, manipulate that light for theirs when it's mine? So trying to be perfect for others, trying to present perfection, is not God's will for any of God's people. My tribe does not expect perfection. My tribe does not expect consistency. And I lacked consistency because I felt like it had to be perfect. So in my maturation, because that, truthfully, thinking that shit gotta be a certain type of way, naive. Because you can be whatever you want to be from day to fucking day. I can switch this shit up again tomorrow and live a different reality if I so choose. That is the actual reality. I could cut my hair off tomorrow. I could tap my body, tap my face. I could change my hands. I can go get my nose changed. I can change this shit up whenever I want to. Can change this shit up whenever you want to. I'm just saying. So I pray that if you are struggling with the way shit gotta be, and a level of perfectionism that is unrealistic, I challenge you to whatever the next thing is that requires your effort and or your execution. Choose purity over perfection. And the next time that something requires your execution, just execute. Don't worry about how it is, when it is, what it is, why it is. Just execute, whatever that may be. And before we close, I just want to take a moment to pause and pray, because it is my belief that we must show reverence and honor God and the universe and the creatorship for all that created us. When we sit back in just the creation of us, wow, all the eggs, all the sperm, all the things, we've heard this before, and I made it through. So what is it that I want to do? Because what I want matters. And what is it that I am called to do? And how do they align? Because that's a thing. You don't want to be torn within yourself. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? So finding the alignment within ourselves. I want us to take a deep breath. Inhale through the crown up, opening a beam of energy, light portal through the heavens, holding that breath and harnessing that light as you take a deep breath and allow the holiness of who you are to settle into your being. Inhale that light down through the crown, out through your hands and palms and feet, radiating pure light energy. That is your energy. Nobody else gave it to you. You connected to it on your own. Rise in that power. Take a deep breath. Exhale any doubt, any imposter syndrome, any fear, resistance, stagnation, and let that light expand through your ligaments and loins and tendons and extremities. Breathe. May you be filled with a boldness that says, I can. May you radiate with a joy that inspires others to feel joyful. May you walk with a purpose that shifts the atmosphere when you enter. And may you rise in all that is and the isness of you for the full liberation of your soul. Because whatever it is you want, whatever you want to do and be in this reality, you have the power to do. Take a deep breath. Allow that energy to resonate and permeate so that as you walk into the next day and the next day, you feel empowered by your own essence. I depart you in love and light. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of HartFelt. I ask that if you enjoyed this episode, this conversation, that you like, comment, subscribe, share, follow us on all of our social medias, which will be tagged down below. If you are seeking my guidance and support with your ancestors, hit the link in below. Or if you don't know where to start, I have a spiritual health assessment for you to take. That is also linked down below. And I am here to serve and support as they see fit with those that align. Ashe.
Thank God. Y'all playing with lights and shit.
Your city looking for you, love. Searching for you, light.
On divine timing.
What the actual
Fuck!